This should be simple. It is over. The court has decided. And in fact, there is specific international law on this issue. But as we've learned with David Goldman and his travails in Brazil, the situation may be many things, but it is never simple.
Wish us luck.
David Goldman's headed to a reunion 5 years in the making after a Brazilian court removed what could be the final obstacle to reuniting with his son, Sean.
I'm hopeful that now that the rule of law was appearing to be followed, that the rule of God, the rule of nature, the rule of human decency will be followed, and my son will come home with me.
For this father, the love of his baby boy fueled 11 trips to Brazil to fight for Sean's return and to advocate for parents' rights earlier this month before a congressional committee investigating international child abduction.
We need our children home. The children, our children, my child, needs to come home.
This all began back in 2004 when Goldman's wife Bruna took their then 4-year-old son on a vacation to her native Brazil. He never imagined they wouldn't come back. Bruna stayed there, remarried a politically connected lawyer, then tragically died in childbirth. Now, while the Hague Convention requires children like Sean, who are unlawfully taken to other countries, to be returned, Bruna's husband refused to send him back. The custody battle dragged on in Brazilian courts, and Goldman was only able to see Sean once, a bittersweet reunion earlier this year.
It was so joyous, and the only one question he asked me is after we were talking, how come you haven't been here to see me in this time? I just said, Sean, I've been here many times.
This summer, a Brazilian court ruled in favor of Goldman, only to have the matter sent to another court. Media attention and outrage at home helped motivate Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to take up the cause.
We will continue to support Mr. Goldman in his efforts.
Goldman hopes that this trip is the one that brings his son home.
I would love to just take him in my arms and squeeze him and never let him go. But I know he's been under a lot of pressure from these people, and I will just do my best to be his dad.
All right, Chris, I want to get your take on this, but first of all, ABC's Jeffrey Kaufman is in Rio de Janeiro. He's on the phone. That's where David Goldman is expected to arrive later this morning. What's the latest there, Jeffrey?
Good morning from Rio, Robin. It all comes down to what happens here in Rio in the next few days. After waiting 5 long years to get his son back, David Goldman is yet again on his way here. He is scheduled to touch down in Rio in just a few hours. His son, Sean, is believed to be in the custody of his stepfather and his mother's parents somewhere in this vast city. Now, according to that ruling from Brazil's Court of Appeal, the 9-year-old boy is to be turned over to his dad at the U.S. consulate here in Rio by tomorrow. We do not know if that will happen. We do not know if the stepfather's influential family will try yet more delays. We know they've attempted some, but what is clear is that if David Goldman gets his son back, the two will leave this country very quickly. Robin?
That would be expected. All right, Jeffrey, thank you so much. Jeffrey Kaufman in Rio. Okay, Chris. All sounds like good news, but I know you, and I'm looking in your face, and there's more to this.
Well, it's worrisome because, there's this Hague International Convention that's supposed to be very clear legally. It's been anything but that for David Goldman. If the stepfather's family can find a judge to write on a piece of paper, stay the order, stop it from happening, he's in the same place he was before this ruling, which is he's still waiting. That's the bottom line. The home country now, Brazil, controls.
The legal issue aside, the practical issue here. I mean, they don't know where he is in Brazil. It's a big country to have to find him and turn him over.
I am more concerned about the practical issue. They have 48 hours. Where's the kid? Do you have the kid? Is he with the grandparents? Is he in Brazil? No, he's actually out in the country. Getting the child in is why David Goldman is so desperate. He just wants this to end.
Has to be within 48 hours.
Supposed to be.
Supposed to be within 48 hours. But if the family down in Brazil gets to another judge, as you just said, until he's back here in the U.S., because even if he's there at the consulate, he's still got to get out of the country.
It's not necessarily over. This is a very, very sophisticated issue. That's why Goldman is so cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I remember when I talked to him in June, and he was just so incredibly hopeful. And here we are in December, and he still doesn't have his son, but it could happen.
Hope so.
All right. I know you're going to stay on top of this, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
Good to see you. Thanks so much.